Welcome to episode 477 of the Selling Your Screenplay podcast. I'm Ashley Scott Meyers, screenwriter and blogger at sellingyourscreenplay.com. Today I am interviewing writer-director James Cullen Bressack, who has been on the podcast before in episode number 446, so check out that episode if you haven't already. This week he comes on the show to talk about his latest feature film, a film called Murder Anyone, which is based on a play written by his father. This is a very touching story from James. He explains this journey, taking this really as a passion project, something his father wrote, and eventually his father unfortunately passed away, and then this was James's just passion to get this movie produced as sort of an homage to his father. So he talks about this, how he got this film produced. Typically James does a lot of these sort of low budget genre films. This is very much a step away from that, so we talk about that a little bit as well. So stay tuned for that interview. SYS's six-figure screenplay contest is open for submissions. Just go to www.sellingyourscreenplay.com/contest. Our early bird deadline is March 31st, so if your script is ready, definitely submit now to save money. We're looking for low-budget shorts and features. I'm defining low budget as less than six figures, in other words, less than $1 million US. We've got lots of industry judges reading scripts in the later rounds. We're giving away thousands in cash and prizes. We've had a number of options and sales from the contest, and this is only our fourth year, so we're getting a nice bit of traction with these scripts. There's always a lot of producers looking for high quality, low budget scripts, both features and shorts. If you want to submit to the contest or learn more about it, we have all of our industry judges listed there. We have all the deadlines listed on this page, and of course there is a link for submission. Just go to www.sellingyourscreenplay.com/contest. If you find this episode valuable, please help me out by giving me a review in iTunes or leaving a comment on YouTube or retweeting the podcast on Twitter or liking or sharing it on Facebook. These social media shares really do help spread word about the podcast, so they're very much appreciated. Any websites or links that I mentioned in the podcast can be found on my blog in the show notes. I also publish a transcript with every episode in case you'd rather read the show or look at something later on. You can find all the podcast show notes at www.sellingyourscreenplay.com/podcast, and then just look for episode 477. So now just a couple of quick words about what I have been working on. I'm still getting some PR on Rideshare Killer and the NFT project that we did along with it. So I'm still definitely spending some time there and pushing that forward. I've got the film festival and the contest coming up, so I'm doing some marketing on that, especially the festival. I want to really kind of ramp up my efforts there, and that will kind of be my focus probably the next couple of weeks, just trying to ramp up my marketing efforts and start to get all of that worked out. But the main screenwriting thing I've been doing over the last couple of weeks is doing a rewrite on my low-budget indie rom-com. I'm going to just rewrite it now, and then I'm going to push it into pre-production and start really trying hard to get it made. I have a couple ideas I want to pursue just to see if I can raise a little financing, but if that doesn't work out, I'll probably just do it like I did The Pinch, which is to say mostly self-financed with one or two other producers. The rewrite is going pretty well. I'm trying to weave in a whole little subplot where the protagonist is working on his TikTok channel, and I'm going to try and incorporate a lot of the TikTok aesthetic into the screenplay and then ultimately the film. If you watch TikTok, as I watch quite a bit of it, there's definitely sort of a very specific aesthetic. Obviously it's on your phone, so it has that phone aspect ratio, but there's sort of a TikTok aesthetic for the closed captions. For some reason it's become very popular to have all these sort of very bright and closed captions as the person is talking. There's sort of these TikTok videos where there's an image back. It's sort of almost like a green screen effect where you see sort of like a talking head and there's an image back. It's just all of these sorts of things that we see sort of in the modern world with all of these video apps. I'm going to just try and, as I said, sort of bake some of that into this script to kind of give it a nice fresh feel. It's about young people, it's a young person's romantic comedy, so I think making it as timely as possible is probably a smart move. So anyways, that's what I've been doing the last couple of weeks, is trying to integrate all of that into the script. As I said, it's going pretty well, and I'm going to get another round of notes on it, so it might take me another couple of weeks to get this rewrite done, and then another few weeks to do the next set of rewrite on whatever notes I get. But with the Rideshare Killer, there was a couple of reasons why we really had to get into production quickly. And in hindsight, I think we were very fortunate. It was really just kind of luck that were able to shoot before COVID, because it was just a few months after that everything got shut down. And Rideshare Killer was so low budget, we would have had a lot of issues if we had tried to push it back and then gotten shut down with COVID. I think it might have actually killed the project. I'm not sure we would have ever gotten it done, or if we did get it done, we probably would be getting it done about now. So with this one, I really want to just take my time. We really were under the gun. We had to move very quickly. With this one, I'm going to spend some time really making sure that the script is as good as I think it can be, and then just slowly putting the pieces together of production, so I can just make it, as I said, there's not going to be a lot of money. It's going to be low budget no matter what happens. So taking my time and making sure that I at least make the best decisions that I can make in every instance, hopefully will add up to a halfway decent movie. Anyways, those are the things I've been working on. Now let's get into the main segment. Today, I'm interviewing writer-director James Cullen Bressack. Here is the interview. Welcome back, James, to the Selling Your Screenplay podcast. I really appreciate you coming on the show with me today.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to chat with you today.
So you were on about 6 months ago where we talked briefly about the start of your career, and your recent film back then was a film called Hot Seat. So I'm going to tell, if people have not already listened to that, definitely go check that episode out. It's number 446. And today we're just going to dig right into your latest feature film, a film called Murder Anyone. Maybe to start out, you can give us a quick pitch or log line. What is this new film all about?
So it's about two writers that are writing a neo-noir avant-garde thriller, or maybe it's a play. They can't really decide, and basically what they write starts coming to life in front of our eyes. So it's very much about the writer's process and about the decision between whether or not you want to do something for art or for commerce, and where that middle ground is.
Mm-hmm. So let's talk about the origins of this script. It was written by Gordon Bressack, your father, who is now deceased. Maybe you can kind of take us through the journey of this. What was the kernel of idea for him, and how did you ultimately get involved with this project?
My dad and I, many times he before he passed away, he was always writing plays, and I was like, Dad, why are you wasting your time writing plays? You should be writing movies. Like, a movie could get sold. And then so he wrote a play about how I was always nagging him to write movies. And it was very much about the writer's process, and the idea of do we listen to our heart and go with the art of it, or do we listen to like our need for money and go with what's more commercial. He ended up putting on the play. It was one of like the last creative endeavors he did. And so when he passed away, I thought a fitting tribute was to take this and turn it into a movie. And so that's kind of what I did. And that's kind of where this all came from. And I did this to like honor him. And I think, it has a lot of him inside of it, which I very much cherish.
Yeah. And so I'm curious, because those are all things that, as artists ourselves, that we deal with. And certainly your own career, you've done a lot of sort of very focused genre films, action and stuff, horror. These are things that, and this would sort of go out of that. So where do you land on that? This doesn't seem like your most commercial project, but obviously it's sort of a passion project. But maybe you can talk to that a little bit.
Yeah. I mean, I made this movie for an audience of one who will never see it. I made this movie, to honor my father in the way that I thought he would have liked it. And so, it was a passion project, and really he was the only person that I was trying to impress. So I did it to honor his words and as well, like his comedic sensibilities. So I never made this movie for anybody else really to watch. We've been very fortunate that I think we have like right now 90% on Rotten Tomatoes, and we've gotten some great reviews and done really well on the festival circuit, getting awards and stuff. And I'm excited for people to see it. But I was very much content, with the idea that nobody else but him had to like it, and that was very freeing. because I was able to try weird things, and my dad was, you know, a weird guy. You know, he did cartoons and stuff, so I was able to do stuff that you know, was not commercial. And you know, one thing I very much love about this movie is my dad always told me that until I was 30 years old, every single movie I did would be like, you know, known as my early work. And so to just like exercise my ability as a filmmaker and as a writer, do as much as I possibly could. And then, you know, once I got older, you know, that's when I would start honing stuff. And this was the last movie I made before I turned 30. I like literally a week after we wrapped filming, I turned 30. So it was, I think it was
Still
a
your
really
early
special,
work.
yeah, and it was
The
the
late
last one.
early.
Yeah, and it was a special experience to do
Yeah.
that. And you know, it's hard as a filmmaker because you know you want to be able to stay true to your voice, but you also want to be able to make things that are commercial, because you know that's what gets released and gets financed. And so you know, finding that balance is hard. And you know, I've definitely done like, you know, the straight down the middle action movies. I've done the, you know, the horror that is commercial, you know, the ghost house type stuff. And you know, I find the fun inside those cookie cutter models. But you know, I've definitely, since doing Murder Anyone, and on that I've been expanding outside of the norm, which I find, you know, more invigorating as a filmmaker. Like Murder Anyone was my first step of just kind of just doing whatever I wanted. Back to when I first started, the first, you know, 2 or 3 movies I made, there were no rules. I just did whatever I wanted.
Mm-hmm.
One of them got banned in the UK permanently, and because I just went there, I just did whatever,
Mm-hmm.
and then I got, you know, pushed into and luckily started, you know, getting hired to do films, and so I started to work inside those models and learn the system. And now I feel like, you know, I'm starting to break out of that system again, and kind of, you know, rediscover my voice as a filmmaker.
Mm-hmm. I wonder if we could talk just sort of in a general sense about the writing of this and converting a play to a screenplay. Maybe you can talk about some of the changes you had to make and just some of the obstacles that you ran into.
Yeah, I mean, you know, that's kind of a tough part of it. You know, I because everything is pretty much just one scene when it's a when
Mm-hmm.
it's a play. You know, it's like lights go down over here, and then like these people walk out and lights go down over there. And so it was finding, like, you know, really like the formatting and where the actual breaks were inside the story in order to, like, you know, section it off into scenes. And that was definitely a process as well, because I did not want to do anything that would harm what my dad had there. So I didn't, you know, remove any dialogue or change any action. I just kind of enhanced what was there in order to streamline it towards the screen.
Mm-hmm. And I wonder if that's, do you think that was good that it was your father's and you were so, you know, this is a man that you love deeply. Do you think that that potentially could prevent you from making, you know, good decisions, you know, not necessarily good decisions, but decisions that maybe make it a little more commercial? Do you think there's something there? I mean, what do you have to honor your dad? I mean, how much do you have to push in that direction?
I mean, you know, that's a tough question because you know, I can't speculate on what possibly could have been in a
Mm-hmm.
different scenario. I just know my main goal was to honor his words exactly as they were.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's, you know, that's exactly what I did.
What are your thoughts on just, I mean, this is you know, since Shakespeare's time, the play within a play, the movie within a movie, just as a device, do you have any recommendations for screeners now that you've dealt with this as a director? Are there some things you can kind of comment on with that?
Yeah, I mean, you know, I think it's a fun device that exists. You know, I mean, you know, they say that there's never really been any new stories since Shakespeare. Everything is kind of, you know,
Mm-hmm.
like some type of derivative of a Shakespeare, you know, play. And I, you know, I can see that, but I think, you know, just developing, you know, stuff so that there is a full rounded existence inside of what you're doing is I think the most important. And then, you know, everything from there, if people could connect to your story and characters, nothing else matters really.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you know, I could have the best lighting in the world, I could have the best sound in the world, but if I have boring characters and a boring story, nobody will nobody will want to watch. So I
Mhm.
think the most important thing is having characters you can connect to.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. So once you had this script, you converted the play into a screenplay. What were your next steps to actually getting this produced? And I'm curious, you're such a candid person. You're telling us you made this for one person, and one person only. It wasn't meant to be commercial. I'm guessing that's not all that enticing to investors, people that are going to put their money into something like this. So what was your angle to going out and raise money for this and actually get this into production?
I didn't raise money. I financed it myself.
Okay. Okay. Well,
I,
there you go.
I paid for it myself. Yeah.
Okay. Good. Good. Yeah. So
So
a true passion project.
yeah, so I paid for it myself. So I wasn't going out trying to get somebody else's money when I knew that I was trying to make this,
Hmm.
just completely to honor, just my father and his legacy. So,
Yeah.
I financed it myself.
Yeah. Fair enough. So take us through the film festival circuit a little bit. What festivals did you apply to, and how have those helped you get to
I
this point with the
applied
film?
I applied to all of them, and we didn't get into a lot of them, but but the ones we did get into, we got a good reception at. We did like Film Quest, and we did a bunch of like the genre fests, and some of the others. I'd have to look, but
Hmm.
it's I got like I think we won like something like 34 awards or something on this
Hmm.
across the fest circuit, and we did about I want to say like 20 festivals.
And do you have some tips for people that are applying to these festivals? Was it just you applied to a ton of them and ultimately got accepted some? Were there some personal connections? Did you have a producer's
No,
rep, that sort of stuff?
I did it all myself through Film Freeway. And what I did was I just wrote a letter explaining, why I made this movie, and sent that out with the submission,
Hmm.
and you know hoped that it would resonate with people, and then I just cast as big of a net as possible. That's kind of just, I feel like, the way you got to do stuff in this business. You got to come with your passion and your story, and why you did something, because people connect to that sort of thing. And beyond that, you just ultimately go, hey, let me just cast the biggest net possible, because not everybody will connect with the reasons or the material or whatever. But
Hmm.
the wider the net, the more chance you have of catching the fish.
Yeah, yeah. So just a little clarity on what you just said about this letter through Film Freeway. When I've submitted on Film Freeway, there's like a text box and you can pull like a personalized note. Is that what you were using, or did you then go and email the festival after you made the
No,
submission?
there's a little button where you can attach a cover letter.
Gotcha, gotcha.
And so I actually typed up a cover letter, and then attached it
Gotcha,
as
gotcha,
an
gotcha.
attachment with the submission.
Gotcha. So do you think this festival run helped you with distribution ultimately, or did you use your contacts to ultimately
No, the
land that?
distribution is a contact that I've done many movies with, and he
Hmm.
understood why I was making the movie, and has been a great partner. Keith Leopard had uncorked him, and I have done many, many projects together, and so
Hmm.
it was just natural to do that together.
Gotcha, gotcha, gotcha. So what's next for you? What are you working on? What are we going to see from you in the future?
I can't tell if you can tell, because I sound tired, but literally 2 days ago, I just wrapped my new movie. We've been shooting for about 2 months. It's called Darkness of Man, and it's a noir story about an alcoholic who is protecting this kid from the mob.
Huh.
And it's a lot of fun. It's really dark. There's unbelievably violent, and it's really great. And there's a wonderful performance by our lead, Jean-Claude Van Damme.
Oh, wow.
Um, and I'm really excited for people to see it. It's a really dark, gritty movie.
Yeah, sounds fascinating. How can people see Murder Anyone? Do you know what the release schedule is going to be like for
It's
that?
February 7th, and I believe anywhere you watch your VOD stuff or you rent the movie, you're going to be able to see this movie. So
Perfect, perfect. And I like to just wrap up the interviews by asking the guests, is there anything you've seen recently that you can recommend to our screenwriting audience? HBO, Netflix, anything that's out there that screenwriters should really take notice of?
I've been really getting into the TV show The Last of Us, and I played the video game, and it's very interesting to see how much of the TV show follows the video game and how they change certain things as
Hmm.
well. And I've kind of enjoyed seeing that because it kind of is faithful, but yet makes different. There's different stuff as well, so it's really well made, and I'm excited. I'm excited about it.
Yeah, yeah, I've heard good things about it. That's a great recommendation. What's the best way for people to keep up with what you're doing? Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, anything you're comfortable sharing, I will round up in the show notes.
Instagram, I'm at James Cullen B, and Twitter, I'm at James Cullen B. But over the
Okay.
past like about year, I pretty much only use the Instagram. I mean, the Twitter exists, but I haven't really been using it much anymore.
Gotcha, gotcha. So, well, James, I really appreciate you coming on, taking some time to talk with me again. Good luck with this film and good luck with all your future films as well.
All right, thank you so
So,
much.
thank you. We'll talk to you later.
Take
Bye.
care. Bye.
A quick plug for the SYS Screenwriting Analysis Service. It's a really economical way to get a high quality professional evaluation on your screenplay. When you buy our 3-pack, you get evaluations at just $67 per script for feature films and just $55 for teleplays. All the readers have professional experience reading for studios, production companies, contests, and agencies. You can read a short bio on each reader on our website, and you can pick the reader who you think is the best fit for your script. Turnaround time is usually just a few days, but rarely more than a week. The readers will evaluate your script on 6 key factors: concept, character, structure, marketability, tone, and overall craft, which includes formatting, spelling, and grammar. Every script will get a grade of pass, consider, or recommend, which should help you roughly understand where your script might rank if you were to submit it to a production company or agency. We can provide an analysis on features or television scripts. We also do proofreading without any analysis. We will also look at a treatment or outline and give you the same analysis on it. So if you're looking to vet some of your project ideas, this is a great way to do it. We will also write your logline and synopsis for you. You can add this logline and synopsis writing service to an analysis, or you can simply purchase this service as a standalone product. As a bonus, if your screenplay gets a recommend or a consider from one of our readers, you get to list the screenplay in the SYS Select database, which is a database for producers to find screenplays and a big part of our SYS Select program. Producers are in the database searching for material on a daily basis, so it's another great way to get your material in front of them. As a further bonus, if your script gets a recommend from one of our readers, your screenplay will get included in our monthly Best Of newsletter. Each month we send out a newsletter that highlights the best screenplays that have come through our script analysis service. This is a monthly newsletter that goes out to our list of over 400 producers who are actively looking for material. So again, this is another great way to get your material out there. So if you want a professional evaluation of your screenplay at a very reasonable price, check out www.sellingyourscreenplay.com/consultants. Again, that's sellingyourscreenplay.com/consultants. On the next episode of the podcast, I'm going to be interviewing writer-director Matthew Bauer, who just did a really cool documentary called The Other Fellow. It's a fascinating story about how having a famous name, and in this specific case, he looked at real life people with the name James Bond and how it actually affects their life. And you'd be amazed how having this famous name, even though obviously you're not necessarily associated with that brand in any way, has a really a pretty big effect on your life. You know, as a man named Ashley, you know, it's a family name. I've always had issues with my name where people assume I was a woman when they just saw my name before they met me. So this was of sort of particular interest to me. I mean, my name, as I said, has always sort of caused me some concern over the years, or some trouble over the years. So I thought this was pretty interesting. And Matthew's a really nice guy, really well spoken and transparent. He comes on really to tell his whole story about how he got this film to put together. He did a lot of reenactment, so there's some actual production work and writing, you know, fiction writing, wrapping these things into the documentary, and then ultimately how he was able to get this film together and marketed it, and is getting some nice traction with it. So really great interview with him next week. So keep an eye out for that episode. That's our show. Thank you for listening.